If you are a new seller just starting on Amazon, about to go through the seller identity verification process, then this is the video for you. Today, we're going to go through all the things you need to know, and I'll share with you my top tips for Amazon seller identity verification. Stay tuned. Right, if you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson and I've been selling on Amazon now for 4 years, and right now I'm on a mission to do £1 million by the end of 2021. If you want to see more about that journey, have a look up here, I'll drop a link. But enough about me, what are we going through today? Well, first things first, I'm just going to give you a short introduction into seller verification. Number 2, I'll talk about why it's important. Number 3, I'll talk about what actually is Amazon seller identity verification. Number 4, I will talk about when do you go through the verification process. Number 5, I'll share with you seller identity verification top tips. And number 6, I'll share some additional top tips that are going to help you out. Let's get started now. Okay, so you might be asking, why are we doing this? Well, recently we went through re-verification in the UK back last year, and that was when we saw an increase in our sales. But also as well, we have gone through what's known as new seller account verification in the USA, where we've just created a brand new selling account there as well. So quite a lot of experience around the verification process, and we wanted to share that with you today, what it was like. So let's jump into it now. Quick question for you guys, are you going through the verification process right now? If you are, let me know in the comments down below. How are you getting on? Okay, so number 2, why is it important, the verification process? So Amazon go through seller identity verification, and this is to know who the potential customers are and check the information that these sellers have provided against the documents that they submit. Now they do this because they want to carry out what's known as anti-money laundering checks as part of their Know Your Customer program by checking government issued ID. Now, what I will say is that Amazon can reject documents when they can't verify or when the documents submitted don't meet their criteria, and their decision is to approve or to reject a document is final and cannot be appealed. Although do keep in mind that you can reapply with a new account. So if you get rejected, you can reapply. Just keep that in mind. Now, number 3, what is Amazon seller identity verification? Well, basically, this is a requirement for all new Amazon sellers to go through the process consisting of 2 parts. Now, you must answer a series of questions via an online form about your business and yourself, or whoever the main contact for the business is. And now, number 2, you must provide information that proves you are who you say you are, ID, for example. Now, what I will say is the Amazon seller verification process is quite confusing at times, and getting it right can be tricky. So I've created a guide of all the top tips that I've learned from going through it. And what I'll do is I'll drop a link down below that's going to help you out. So have a look at that link down below, get hold of that. That's just going to help guide you through exactly what you need to do for getting verified on Amazon. Have a look at the link down below. Okay, so number 4, when do you go through seller identity verification? Well, when you open your account, you're going to go through it. You'll go through that process, but also you're going to go through what's known as re-verification at certain milestones. Now, what are those milestones? We don't really know, but generally £15,000 or I think $15,000. But also in our case, we went through re-verification when our sales velocity increased considerably. Why? Well, Amazon wants to re-verify who you are when you have a dramatic increase in your sales to make sure that you're legit and you are who you say you are. So just again, knowing their customer, knowing their sellers. Okay, number 5, seller identity verification top tips. So first things first, what I'm going to do is go through top tips about the required documents, beginning with the identity documents, and then we'll talk about the proof of address and other documents thereafter. So first things first, identity documents. So this must be a government issued identity card like your passport or driver's license or national ID. Now, it needs to also show your full name on the ID, and this must match your name on the Amazon account that you created. Now, take a scan of the original document or a picture of it using a mobile device, but it's got to be in color. Black and white is not acceptable. And what I will say is you need to make sure that you are not submitting a screenshot because Amazon will not accept them. Now, whenever you take the picture or the scan, make sure you include the edges of the actual document when taking the picture, and don't get any reflections if it's got the shiny part. because they're very particular about that. What happened with me is they saw the shiny part on my passport scan and they asked me to resubmit or to take another picture to make sure that I got it right, and I had to get all the edges in as well. So make sure it's nice and clear when you upload it. Now Amazon wants high quality, colored and clear images that are legible and show the full documented page. Now what I will say is for multi-page files, in the case of you've got both sides of the ID, if the screen does not ask for separate front and back uploads, what you can do is merge it into one PDF file and upload that. So if you want to know when, in my case, I uploaded my passport as national ID, which was wrong. I should have uploaded passport. And the reason why this is wrong is because they wouldn't have asked for the back of my passport instead of just the front. And what I did is I actually sent them the front and just a picture of the back of the passport, which is a bit weird. But they accepted it and that's fine, obviously after rescanning it because it was shiny. Now, what I will say is obviously don't submit any expired documents. That's going to be obviously obvious, but hopefully you should understand that. And also as well, the date of birth provided during the Amazon seller account registration process should match that on your ID. Now, your identity document must be in one of the following languages: Chinese, English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Portuguese, or Spanish. Now, if it is not, what you can do is submit a notarized translation in the supported language of the ones I just said. Now, they do say that if you submit a copy of your passport, make sure that the passport has your signature. What that exactly means, I'm not too sure, but they do say it on their actual documentation. Now, the document you upload to Amazon should be less than 10 megabytes in size, and the accepted formats they accept are PNG, TIFF, JPEG, and PDF. So keep it in those formats. And just make sure that the file names also as well don't have any special characters, i.e. dollar, pound symbols, and hashtags. Can't put them in there. Now, for companies or corporations, you need to submit a government-issued ID for the primary contact or beneficiary owner of that corporation or company. Something to keep in mind there. Now, again, I said it earlier and I'm going to say it again now, there is a lot to take on board with seller verification. So have a look down below, download the guide that's going to help you and make sure you're getting it right from what I've learned going through this and also my research. Have a look at the link down below. Now, this leads me nicely onto the second type of documentation they want to see. Now, this can be your business license, bank statement, credit card statement, or utility bill. The document needs to have the following information. Number one, it needs to have the company name or the main point of contact on the statement, and it should match either the point of contact or the name of the business provided during registration. Number two, what you can do if it's a statement, you could hide or black out any balances, but everything else must be retained intact so they can clearly see that information and it's clearly visible. Now, number three, you need to make sure the document you submit must not be password protected, so like no PDFs which are protected. Now what I'll do is I'll go through a little bit more specific information on certain documents like bank account or credit card statements. So if you are submitting those types of documents, you need to make sure they're dated within the last 180 days. You need to scan or take a photo of the document again in color, and again, do not submit a screenshot. You must show transaction activity, but you can black out the transaction amount. Now, while they say that, the interesting thing is that I submitted a PDF of my bank account, my business bank account for Amazon USA. We had no transactions on there. It just showed zero balance and zero transactions. But they said that was fine. So interesting, but that was okay from my side. They didn't kick up. Now, number four, the documents submitted can obviously be PDF digital versions of a bank statement, so you don't need to worry about printing out a document and then scanning it back in. You can just send the PDF download from the bank's online bank account to Amazon. Now, obviously, these bank statements you have, number five, they need to have a bank logo, bank account number, business address, business name, point of contact, name of the person, or you, or on behalf of the business, and it must be clearly visible. Now, I just talked about bank accounts, credit cards. What I'll do now is I'll talk about what you need to show on a business license. This is for things such as like LLCs, LTDs, for example. Now, if you're going to submit a business license, what you need to do is to make sure that it shows the name of the legal representative or beneficiary owner, which should match the identity documents you submitted. Now, the address should also match the address provided during registration. And also, it says here, Amazon say, It must be valid for at least 45 days from the time of registration. Now, I'm not sure what they really mean by that, but that's what they say, so I'll let you know that. Now, your business must obviously not be revoked or closed by the local government, and your business name and details must be clearly visible on that document that you're going to submit to Amazon. Now, for the next type of documents, what I'll talk about is proof of address. For proof of address, it could be your water, electricity, gas, internet, telecom issued by the utility company or even the mobile phone company, which they say. Now, you can check other options in the drop-down menu that they give you. Now, on the actual documentation, your name and address must be clearly visible. Now, what I will say is if you are submitting a document which the given address on the document does not relate to your name, what you're going to need to do is provide a utility bill associated with the address that you use to register and any other supporting documentation that will prove that you're operating from that address. Even if the bill is not under your name, you need to prove that you're operating from that address that you gave. So just keep that in mind. Now, all these documents I just talked about need to be dated within the last 180 days, obviously show they're valid. Now, after you've done all of that, you are done completing the required documents for Amazon seller verification. So here are my top tips for what you can do after uploading your documents. Number one, after you submit the documents, Amazon will review your information and may contact you further for clarification if needed within 3 business days. Number two, if Amazon fails to verify the information you provided and requests you to resubmit documents, you are given 30 days to complete their request. Now, if Amazon doesn't receive your documentation as per their request within 30 days, your case will be closed and they will not activate your Amazon selling account, so keep that in mind. Now, what I will say is if you are experiencing identity verification troubles, here are my top tips. Number one, if Amazon suspends your account, click on the red flag for the Read More link at the top in Seller Central and to view your seller performance notifications. They generally tell you what's the situation there. Number two, I recommend reading all email notifications from Amazon and follow the directions of what they're saying. When we went through the re-verification process back last year in our UK account, we had to read that because they told us what was going on. Now, what you might want to do, number three, is you might want to contact seller support and ask them for assistance regarding your issue. When we went through the re-verification process, we had our payment account suspended and we actually contacted seller support, which was quite helpful in understanding what was going on through that re-verification process. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again, there is a lot of information to take here and to get right. So have a look down below at the free downloadable guide that's going to support you in getting the right information you need to get your verification process done. Have a look at the link down below, it's going to help you out. Now, number 6, additional top tips for you while you're going through the seller identity verification process. Number 1, register your new seller account as soon as possible to avoid delays. The whole process takes time. Number 2, make sure you submit all the required documents in the required formats. I spoke about them all earlier. Now, number 3, make sure your name and address matches on all documents that you submit and obviously what you put into Amazon Seller Central. And number 4, carefully read and understand any additional documentation requests from Amazon and obviously comply with them. It's going to really help you out. Now, what I will say is after going through all of that for the seller identity verification, you might want to start thinking about how you actually get started selling on Amazon. So look no further than the FastTrackFBA Express course, which is going to guide you through selling on Amazon from creating your account to sourcing products and managing your Amazon business. Check that out, that's really going to help you. But for me, what I'll say is hopefully you've liked this. If you have, give us a thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. But from me, Thomas Parkinson, FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.